What's up, gamers? Welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry, Tatarigoroshi. Where we last left off, we learned very sad things about Satoko. So hopefully this time we can save her by doing some crime. You know, that's my plan. That is my plan. But Keiichi might have different thoughts about it. What's up, Brad? How are you doing? We already viewed the tips, didn't we? We usually view the tips before. I went home and washed the day's sweat off in the shower. Normally I would reset everything by taking a shower and forgetting all the bad things. But that didn't happen today. Got out of the shower to find fresh underwear neatly placed in my laundry basket. Normally I didn't stop to think about it, but today I felt happy at my mother's consideration. At the same time, however, it made me realize how much Satoko must be suffering. At the very moment I was appreciating this gentle kindness, Satoko might be being bruised by her uncle's cruel words. Jeez. Went up to the second floor and shut myself in my bedroom. Then, facing my desk, I folded my arms. The topic of thought, of course, was Satoko. We thought if we could just get a public agency to interfere in the right way, the problem would be solved. But with what Coach said, I didn't think it would be so easy. Satoko was obstinate, but she would stubbornly deny the abuse and try to endure it. And that was an act of atonement towards Satoshi, who had protected her before and then run away. As long as she thought that way, the situation wouldn't be so simple. But earlier, before Coach, I made a clear declaration. If I thought Satoko was in danger, then I would do what I had to. In the end, that meant I was just going to wait and see, too. Nevertheless, I thought I'd draw a clearer line than Coach or my friends had. When the time came, I would report it. Over the phone. Given Satoko's personality, she might criticize me if she had found out. But I believed it was ultimately the best decision. Wait, Keiichi Maibara. Would that really be all it took for the problem to end? Say that I reported it to a public agency, like the Child Consultation Center. What if they stuck to their wait-and-see attitude like last year again? Last year they decided to do just that, and the situation improved temporarily, but then the aunt, thinking herself a laughingstock, increased their tormenting in secret. In the end, things became more underhanded than ever before. This year, it was her uncle. I had just seen him for the first time today, but the man seemed much more direct, much more violent than the word underhanded could imply. He wasn't like their aunt, no, not that subtle. He was more direct. He might also assault her with punches and kicks. It could easily be discerned from the bruises and such that I saw on Satoko's body. Shit, you're too naive, Keiichi Maibara. However heroic it may seem to report what was happening, if it didn't save her, then it doesn't mean anything. Reporting things to a public agency was the only one option, and leaving everything to them would be dangerous. We would need something more to guarantee Satoko's safety. I scratched madly at my head, thinking, and then tilted it back, wanting at least a little bit of calm. The memories of angry arguing with my friends today came to mind. I was embarrassed I hadn't realized it until Rena said something. She was right. My house is big. Compared to all the houses with straw thatched roofs in Hinamizawa, it was really big. We did actually have empty rooms. I had never thought that we were affluent, but also never thought that we were poor. I just didn't admit it because people would think I was arrogant. But maybe my family really is wealthy. We had a few rooms we could lend to Satoko. Guest rooms are only in use when people related to my dad's job come and stay every once in a while. Plus, if we cleaned up a few of the rooms my dad uses for storage, they could work for her as well. As for food expenses, that might have been a more serious problem than a kid like me could imagine. Lunch every day would be manageable. All of our friends would just have to bring a little bit more for lunch than they usually did. With everyone pecking at everyone else's food anyway, it would be manageable. For breakfast and dinner, though, that would have to be up to my mom. I would need to convenience her to lend Satoko more than just a room. Of course, I don't think even convincing her of that would be easy. About how much did it cost for one person to eat? How many tens of thousands of yen per month? They couldn't complain about if I shouldered that, could they? I only had 10 or 20,000 yen in savings, but it was something. I actually had even more thanks to New Year's gifts and such, but my parents had taken all that and put it into a fixed time deposit. If I could get access to that, then it would add up to a lot of money. If I got that far, Mion and Rena would just need to share some of the burden. Of course, that didn't seem like it would work. Rena got mad at me, didn't she? About how I shouldn't just shove responsibility onto others. I'd have to ask for help. Even so, I'd basically be saving her myself. I would follow through with it. Oh, but it would only just be food expenses. There were a lot of other things that you couldn't do without, like baths and laundry. My mother was awfully methodical and strict about cutting out inefficiencies, and for once that was troublesome. She might even make reference to the money it would cost for detergent Satoko would use for her own clothes. I couldn't think about only food expenses. I needed more money. Hey, wait, Keiichi Maebara. Since when was all this about money? Even if you could afford it, you would need your parents' permission first. You'd be looking after a young girl for a really long time. What would I say to persuade them? Just calm down a little bit, Keiichi Maebara, and you'll realize right away you can't. Even if you ask them seriously, they would tell you to call the police. Even if you manage to gain their empathy, why should the Maebara family have to shoulder all the burden by itself? That's what would happen. That was it. It was very sad and frustrating, but no matter how much I wanted to help, my resolution alone couldn't save everything. Yeah, Higurashi when they sag. I found her outside. Can I keep her, please? Oh, I wish it was that simple. Like a lost cat, huh? Our kids, are they really this powerless? Felt frustrated. Believe my feelings were stronger than anyone else's. Even thought they were stronger than Coach's. And yet, at this point, there were 2 knocks on my door and my mom poked her head inside. Were you awake? I've been calling you for dinner for a while. Oh, yeah, I'm coming. Someone financially dependent on his parents, I shouldn't say this, but I just sat around doing nothing and food suddenly appeared. Oh. It felt so natural to me that I'd shamelessly thought of it as a responsibility of my parents who gave birth to me. When I realized that natural thing was actually a privilege, I came to realize just how hard it was to grant that privilege to others. Oh, Keiichi learns what privilege is today. Even at the boring meal in front of me, no better than it ever was, had more meaning than that tonight. There was food for 3 on the table right now, for Dad, for Mom, and for me. Couldn't imagine how hard it would be to add another place at the table. Think, Keiichi Maebara. It was hard to make food for 4. Just to think about how 4 people could eat food made for 3. Oh, I changed around the way I thought. With that, began to consider an unthinkably bold plan. That's right. I didn't need to get my parents' permission. She should just live here in secret. I got upset when I found out a while ago, but if I remembered right, if you climbed out the window and shimmied down the first floor roof or the gutter, you could go in and out of the house directly from my room. Satsuko's physical ability far surpassed my own, so it would be even easier for her. I hadn't thought about it, but her living here secretly was actually a necessity. Ah, plans are brewing. I'd only have to bring Satsuko to my house when the public agency said they would wait and see. In other words, if Satsuko's uncle continued to be her guardian. If, in such a situation, word got out that she was here, her uncle would barge in and drag Satsuko back with him. Her uncle was her rightful guardian, so my parents would hand her over without an argument, no doubt. So I needed to keep it a secret that she was living here. If it needs to be a secret, then having my parents' help would mean a lot. But gotta deceive your allies first, like they always say. Okay. Starting my parents was an unrealistic proposition, so I'll search for a way to have her live here in secret. When I was around, she would just have to be really quiet in my room on the 2nd floor. The issue was the daytime. She was hiding from her uncle, then she shouldn't go to school. Might be lonely, but not going would be a better option. I could easily teach Satsuko the stuff she learns in her grade. Actually, during school, I mostly helped all the younger kids out than actually study my own stuff. Yeah, as you can see here, Keiichi has a very sound and rational mind. 400 HQ? IQ. During the day, I would need to go to school, so I wouldn't be at home. My parents respected my privacy now that I was this age. They wouldn't go snooping around in my room while I was gone. I think. If she holed herself up in my room, it would be okay, right? If my parents did come, thanks to where the second floor was, she could hear the approach from the sound of them coming up the stairs. There would be a little bit of time before they got all the way up. I estimated a few seconds. And then she would be able to hide herself in the closet. Wait, Keiichi. Something doesn't make sense. If she can't go to school, then what'll she do for lunch? Calm down already. I could just leave her my own lunch, couldn't I? I should just go to school without lunch and get everyone else's to split theirs with me. Okay, that's good. No more contradictions or oversights, right? Oh, breakfast and dinner. Could somehow get her to go without breakfast. I can go with 2 meals a day when I sleep in on Sundays, after all. Every night, I'd pretend though I had a bigger appetite and ask for a bigger helping. Then I could just somehow give her part of that to Satoko. As a test, I stood up from my seat with my plate of fish in my hands. What's wrong, Keiichi? Sit down and eat your food. Well, kind of not in a good mood. Can I eat up in my room? Don't make a mess. Eat dinner at the dinner table. Sorry. Hey, wait. I only tried to take away 1 plate of fish, and they ganged up on me? In reality, it was impossible for me to smuggle food away without my parents knowing about it. But it must have been worth taking time to think about. There must be some trick, some method to avoid them realizing. Even if I can't think of one today, I might think of one tomorrow. My appetite was rapidly fading, so I finished early and went back to my room. I went back there, and I tried to think about it from Satoko's point of view. For example, let's say my parents were coming up the stairs right now, and I've got to hide. I opened the closet. Clatter, clatter. It didn't open quietly. Hey, wait, didn't it always open real smooth and quiet? Why was it suddenly doing this now? What was this, a faulty house? Had it already gotten old or something? Or was it just not putting enough work into it? Could I plaster it with wax? The sound itself may have been soft, but it left me uneasy as to whether my parents would detect it happening when they climbed the stairs. This was an easy problem. I could do something about it. Just had to fix it up a little bit so it didn't make a noise anymore. For now, I'll close myself in the closet as though I'd successfully hid. I basically always left my futon out on the floor. I couldn't think of any real reason my parents would want to go into my closet. Even so, there might be some reason they would. I might need to construct some sort of camouflage so she wouldn't be noticed even if they did open it. But the more she worried about that, the less time she'd actually have to hide, meaning it would be more likely they'd hear a noise. And then, I suddenly had to go to the bathroom. The bathroom? I need to use the toilet. So obvious and yet such a fatal flaw. The only bathroom was on the first floor. It would be absolutely impossible for her to use it without my family realizing. Might need to set up a portable toilet, like a chamber pot, I guess? Satoko would hate it, but she could go in my room. But the stench, that would be pretty terrible. Anyone sensitive would probably notice the smell without even coming into the room. The bath was okay, though. She could just take a bath when my parents were out. But I couldn't do anything about a toilet. Whenever her stomach started to hurt, if my parents were lazing around downstairs, she'd be in trouble. It was then I noticed I'd been clawing at my head with both hands. I sat down in the dark closet with my knees against my chest. I buried my face in them and tore at my hair. The more I thought, the more contradictions popped up. The more I thought, the more things failed. The more I worried, the more I was reminded of how little power I actually had. My back started to hurt from staying in a cramped place for so long. But if I was to shelter Satoko, I would need to force her to feel this pain. Live in such a dark, narrow, suffocating place, forever. But it would still be better than being abused by her uncle, or so I would think. It got hard to breathe, so I gave in and crawled out of the closet. I looked at the clock. To my surprise, it was 3:30 in the morning. It felt like so little time, but it was unbelievably long. Wait, what? It was 3:30 in the morning? Like AM? How long were you in that closet, Keiichi? Jesus Christ. When I realized that, I slammed with a terrible urge to sleep, as if time had only just caught up with me. Didn't have enough strength to fight it, and I fell flat onto my futon. Shit, can't go to sleep just like this. If I waste any time, that'll mean I'm taking the same wait-and-see attitude that Mio and Coach and everyone else did. I needed to keep worrying about how to rescue Satoko for a minute, or even longer, or even a second longer than everyone else. Isn't there a better way? Isn't there a better way? The one phrase I spoke to myself swirled around and around in a spiral, and steadily took over my entire mind. For my last moment of consciousness, I thought, there were a lot of blind spots in what I considered tonight, but I absolutely wasn't wrong for having those ideas. Tomorrow, I would suggest this bold plan to the others. Mia might be able to help somehow, and Rena was really sharp, so she might have good suggestion. And above all, we need to rescue Satoko once again, with everyone helping out. I felt pathetic for letting myself fall to sleep. I'm sorry, Satoko. Let yourself sleep, Keiichi. Let yourself sleep. Hey, Monkey Senpai. How are you doing, bro? Wait 5 seconds, and you've traveled 5 seconds into the future. Yes, that's how time works. That's how time works. No way. Testing this right now. Oh my god. I'm good, how are you? I'm doing alright, bro. I'm doing alright. A bit hungry, but that's okay. The ceiling blurred into view. It was hot. There was a thin layer of moist sweat on me. The voices of cicadas permeating my room were somehow grating into my head. What? Today's not Sunday, is it? Remember, today was a weekday, and I quickly brought myself to consciousness. Then finally I leapt out of bed. The clock read a little before 10. I was totally late. When I wandered downstairs, my mom would get mad at me. There was nothing I could do, though. After reviewing the schedule for the school day for a moment, I suitably rearranged the stuff in my bag. I hurried and got dressed and then went downstairs. There was no sign of my parents anywhere. Maybe they went out somewhere together. That's how it was. My mother had probably woken me up once this morning, but I fell back asleep without remembering it. My parents, thinking I'd gone to school, left. Something like that probably happened. I went to the front door, and as I expected, it was locked. Looked like I was right. Further evidence of my speculation being correct. When I realized my parents were here, I suddenly felt less like I had a rush to get to school. Yeah, I feel that. There was one portion of breakfast left in the dining room. Probably mine. The milk they poured into it had gone warm since a while ago. Ew? When I realized how hard it would be to sneak food for Satoko, yesterday, I had cried. Well, thinking back on it, food wasn't the only issue in that regard. I wasn't in a position where I could bargain for Satoko by myself anyway. Such a heavy thing just to save a single person. I'd seen this on TV and in comics all the time. Those feel-good words, how you save your friends for sure and such. Well, why I ran my mouth like that, swearing to save her, because I wanted to feel good about it? No, that absolutely wasn't true. Because the fact that I couldn't save her. Because I didn't want to think like an adult, that I couldn't do anything but watch. Had Satoko gone to school today? I immediately realized that was a meaningless question. Whether or not she did, there wouldn't be a change in the environment she'd been placed in. If I couldn't save her and no one else could either, then we could only pray for a miracle. Are we so powerless? The vague goal of getting to school in mind, I sluggishly put on my shoes and stumbled out the front door. I'd only overslept by 2 or 3 hours, but the sunlight and air felt completely different from how they usually were in the morning. Well, of course they did. Once 10 o'clock came around, you could barely call it morning anymore. Really? 10 o'clock is still very much morning. I didn't feel like walking the same old route to school. I needed to ultimately end up there, but it was like I didn't want to choose the shortest route, the most proactive one to get to school. But in a more positive light, maybe I wanted some time to walk by myself and think. I had to go to school, partly to make sure Satoko was safe. But I hadn't come up with any plans yet. Nothing since last night. So the path I took from my house was in the complete opposite direction. If I went this way, I passed by Rena's house and the dam site. It would be quite a detour. Calculated how long of a detour it would end up being, Then, satisfied with the answer, I started to walk. Brenda had brought me to the dam site a few times. One section of it had turned into an awful, oversized garbage dump. Brenda liked going there fishing for junk in there. Without that, she'd come off as a completely normal girl, too. I can think of a few other qualities she could do without, but whatever. The view quickly opened up wide, and I was hit with a strong wind. There was no shelter here at this big dam site. Maybe it was a good thing I came here, I thought. At the very least, it was more healthy to think about the stuff in a place like this instead of my cramped bedroom. I took a deep breath and filled my lungs with rich, cold air unique to Hinamizawa. Ring, ring. I turned around reflexively. It was a bicycle bell. Yeah, I was like, ring, ring, like a phone, but I realized this is the time of place that don't have mobile phones. Considering where I was standing, I don't think they were trying to get me out of the way. They'd ring the bell because they wanted something from me. Hey! Hey, excuse me. You're from Hinamizawa, right? Yes, why? I've seen this person around a few times. Right, I remembered. His name, I think, was Tomitake, a freelance photographer who lived in Tokyo. He would zealously visit Hinamizawa every season to take pictures, or so Mion and the others have told me, I think. Glad we're getting it out of the way. Can you tell me how to get to the Furude Shrine from here? I think I left my map at the inn. I don't know where to go. The shrine? From here? I knew everything was in my head, but explaining how to get there was difficult. I was a little irritated at having been bothered for this, but then I realized that my detour had actually meant something. That feeling faded quickly. I'll tell you, but it's a little difficult to explain. I could bring you there if you don't mind. Really? I would be in your debt. Thanks a lot. But are you sure? Did you have something to do? Tomitake-san finally appeared to have realized it was strange for a student like me to be here at this time of day. Smoothly told him not to worry about it, then turned my back and started walking towards the Furude Shrine. Tomitake-san heard to turn his bike around and came after me. Sorry. Don't worry. All guys have time when they need to split up from the pack and be lone wolves for a while. What a free-minded freelancer. It was easier for me, too, that he was under that impression. I'm Tomitake, a freelance photographer, specialized in wild birds and landscapes. Still pretty unknown, though. It seemed absurd for him to introduce himself when I was just showing him to the shrine. But he gave me his name, so I needed to give mine back. I'm Maebara. Pleased to meet you, I guess. Maebara-kun? Pleased to meet you. Pleased to meet you. Seemed like a pretty silly man, but that kind of felt good considering I've been suffocating with worry over Satoko all night. Along the way, Tomitake-san spoke at length to me about how precious the nature in Hinamizawa was, and how it was a treasure trove of rare wild birds, despite my not having asked. Despite my not having asked. A very polite way to say, hey, who asked? I wasn't interested in what he had to say, but he seemed to be enjoying himself, so I left him to it. Well, here we go. The steps will take you up to the shrine grounds. Thank you. You really helped me out. I think I'm a little late. Tomitake-san mumbled to himself. He left his bicycle nearby and started to climb the stairs quickly. I didn't have a watch, but as far as my internal clock could guess, it was a little late in the morning. School wasn't very far from here. Maybe I could kill a little more time until then. With that in mind, I went up the stairs in pursuit of Tomitake-san. Why don't you just not go to school today, Maebara? Or Keiichi. I don't want to be formal with him. When I reached the top of the long staircase, I arrived at the wide-open shrine grounds that were too grand-looking for this tiny village. Tomitake-san. Oh, there he is. Looked like he was supposed to be meeting someone here. Then he got lost and ended up being late. He was bowing to a lady who must have been the person he was meeting. Oh, are we gonna break into the shrine thing again? That lady. I knew her. Oh, is that you, Maebara-kun? Hello there. Are you off from school today? What? Oh, Maebara-kun, you followed me. I wasn't really planning to. I just wanted to kill some time. Oh my. Arriving at work late, like an executive, how refined. You certainly are famous, taking the time to look like a big shot. What was I, a celebrity? Well, she did say my name out of nowhere anyway. I was oddly concerned with what she meant by famous. Oh, you still can't remember my name? This is Mio Takano. She works at the village clinic. Barbara-kun, you seem healthy. You probably haven't been to the hospital much, have you? Now that we're finally acquaintances, the next time you're sick or anything, I suppose I'll give you a little special treatment. This lady named Takano-san, I kind of didn't remember her. We passed by each other on the street a few times, but I was pretty sure this was the first time we talked. Well, this is Hinamizawa. Even if I don't know the person's name, it's not unusual for them to know mine. I glanced at Takano-san, and she had a big bag and a camera. Are you photography partners? Was that why you were meeting each other? Oh, we're nothing like partners. I am but an amateur, and Jiro-san is quite gently initiating me into it. Right? That's not it at all. Takano-san is a quick learner. She could take pictures just fine without my guidance. I mean it. Couldn't tell which of them was ahead in the conversation. Well, there's certainly one couple you wouldn't get tired of watching. Festival's coming up the day after tomorrow. I hope we could take some good pictures this year. I plan on taking some shots of the setup tomorrow. I wanted to capture the festival energy shown in the preparations for it, too. Oh, I just remembered. There's some village festival called Watanagashi or something the day after tomorrow, on Sunday. They hold service with powerful futons in order to give thanks to Hinamizawa's guardian deity, Oyashiro-sama, I think. Oh, you're correct. You have quite extensive knowledge despite having moved here. Yes, it is a festival to give thanks to Yashiro-sama. Takano-san smiled somehow meaningfully, but didn't tell me what part of the festival to thank Oyashiro-sama needed to be laughed at. Cryptic as ever, Takano-san. But I do wonder what will happen this year. You know what they say, if it happens twice, it'll happen a third time. It's already happened 4 times. I think there's less evidence that it won't happen a 5th time, don't you think? I knew what they meant by their whispered exchange. On the day of Watanagashi, freak death always occurs, which people call Yashiro-sama's curse, and a disappearance occurs that people call being demoned away. These strange events had happened 4 years running, and Watanagashi, rapidly approaching the day after tomorrow, marked the 5th. Yashiro-sama puts a curse on the enemies of the village, eh? If it does happen this year, I wonder who will find themselves at gunpoint. Oh, and I always come here to pray and donate money whenever I visit. It won't be me for sure. Oh! It won't be him for sure. Oh, is that so? They say that Yashiro-sama has been especially harsh on outsiders recently, you know. Our Barakun may have just moved in, but he's a proper member of Hinamizawa. But you, Jiro-san, are a stranger who only comes once a year. I wonder, will he let you go this year? That's harsh. Tomitake-san was the only one with a pained grin. We were all smiling, me included. Yashiro-sama, the one who used a curse to kill people involved in a damned construction project, one after the next. Killed the damned construction manager, killed Satoko's parents for supporting it. The next year, he even killed her aunt. If the demoning away was part of that cause, then you could add Satoshi to the list of victims. As I thought about it, I realized that in the serial freak death incidents, the overwhelming majority had the last name Hojo. Half of the deaths and disappearances had come from the Hojo family. The Hojo family had lived here in Hinamizawa. Did that mean Yashiro-sama punished and cursed them particularly harsh because despite that, they had been in favor of the dam? Have you heard the news that Satoko's uncle had returned? Takano-san, who had been enjoying a few words with Tomitake-san, was caught unaware by my sudden inquiry. Oh, I'm sorry. What was that? Satoko's parents were killed by the curse, and her aunt too. I was wondering if you went in the order, her uncle would be next. Her aunt had a miserable death from the curse last year, and her uncle let his fear take over and fled into town, right? Yashiro-sama doesn't allow people to try to abandon the village, does he? I hadn't intended to be quite this persistent. Those words, they just flowed out of my mouth without me thinking about it. Right. Yashiro-sama's curse. I didn't believe in something so unrealistic, of course, but the fact that it was every year, unfortunate accidents and incidents happened to enemies of the village. Like Takano-san said just now, it had happened 4 times. No one could say there wouldn't be a 5th. That's an interesting suggestion. It is true if you look at those sacrificed in previous years, those named Hojo come up quite frequently. Given how long it's gone on for, her uncle being the one to die or disappear this year isn't out of the question. Not again, Takano-san. Don't laugh about it. It could really happen. I'm sorry. But Yashiro-sama's curse is my life's work. Takano-san gave off a mysterious, somehow intellectual expression, and her life's work was mysterious in its own right. Probably really like the inexplicable supernatural phenomena or something. Takano-san, you seem to know a lot about Yashiro-sama. Give me your honest thoughts. Given that he's a Hojo and that he's returned, what are the chances that the uncle will fall to the curse? My what? You seem like you really want this uncle to be dead. Oh my god. That's not... I wonder. It all depends on the whims of God. Hi, Barakun. You know the true identity of Santa Claus? Huh? I got a strange question all of a sudden and I couldn't immediately answer. Yeah, what? What? You don't know? It's your daddy. The daddy's in everyone's family. Well, what? That's what you meant? Well, of course. Everything ultimately comes down to humans in the end. For all, humans are the only ones living in the world. All strange things should be explainable in terms of human actions. Felt like I put on so much strangely, but Takano-san was not dissatisfied with the reply, as I might have guessed. Oh, it's impressive you caught on to that at such a young age. You're right. Strange things that happen in the world of man are all caused by man in his own benefit. Barakun, I'll ask you again then. This time, not Santa Claus, but Yashiro-sama. Do you know anything about who Yashiro-sama is? Takano-san took a step towards me and gazed into my eyes as she asked. Santa Claus was really the parents of everyone's family's children. If lionizing that legend was a corporate tactic to try and profit during Christmas sales, then what was Yashiro-sama really? Oh, didn't you already say? There are only humans in the world. Everything can be explained by human actions, right? Barakun, keep this to yourself, okay? The string of freak death incidents that are attributed to Yashiro-sama's curse. Takano-san's view is that they may be premeditated homicides performed by the people of Hinamizawa and based on some kind of ceremony. No, don't misunderstand me. My life's work is to research... Oh, don't misunderstand me. My life's work is to research teachings, thoughts, and cultures from a viewpoint of folklorism. I don't really care at all who the culprit really is. Just keep that in mind, please. I could tell, at least, that she was trying to say some crazy stuff. If I were to liken her statements to a meal, it would be sort of like she tried to stuff a whole plate of duck in my mouth, and now I couldn't say anything. To understand that, in the first place, you have to go all the way back to the ancient times of Hinamizawa was called Onigafuji, or the Demon's Abyss. The Transcendents who live there believe themselves to carry the blood of demons, and so they are only half human. Takano-san, having entered her home field, leaned forward and began to speak of ridiculous matters. Tomitaki-san then realized she was overawing me and interrupted for me. Takano-san, you can't just chatter on about stuff like that to Mayabara-kun. Look, he's really confused. Oh my, are you? If you want to hear more, ask me anytime. I have heaps of grotesque stories about that boys your age seem to love hearing. Thank you. If I feel like it, I will. For now, I softly and safely gave my refusal. Takano-san seemed a little unhappy that Tomitaki-san had rained on her parade. She stopped talking about it then. Even so, it was still a very interesting story. That Yashiro-sama's curse, which we had thought of as strange freak deaths, were really homicides, perpetrated by people of the village. Well, I mean, if you thought about it logically, if you thought about it logically, it would have to be. People wouldn't be dying because of a curse. Someone's obviously killing people and making it look like one. Indeed. As for who that is, it might be safer to not try and find out. You seem like you know, Takano-san. You may not have proof, but it seems like you believe it. Oh my, why do you think that? It just kind of felt like I just kind of felt it vaguely. It didn't seem like her extreme passion for this research could be explained just by these things being taboo or being safe and easy. This person loved walking through the profound, forbidden abyss of risks and taboos. Let's leave it at that, Mayabara-kun. I just helped you escape, and now you're trying to talk about Yashiro-sama again. I wanted to take a nice walk while it was still cool. Umataka-san seemed a little disappointed not to have been able to go on a date he'd planned since I had brought up a weird topic. Right now, there was something I wanted to ask, just for a little bit, and that was about whether Satoko's uncle will be chosen for the curse this year. If he was, then another miracle would happen, just like last year. A terrible incident would happen again, but it would release Satoko from her unfortunate circumstances once more. Well, I do have a few suspicions of the kind of people who would probably become involved, of course. The natural, inevitable conclusion for anyone who's researched the history of Onigafuchi village. Who do you mean? What would I do if I knew? I asked that question to the other me deep inside, but got no reply. How enthusiastic. What would you do if you knew? Nothing, really. If you found out, you might get into danger yourself, you know. Maybe the 5th year's curse would be you. Takano-san, toying with the taboo, gave a devilish, satisfied smile, as though nothing in the world would be more amusing. She was probably trying to tease me, but I didn't feel like going along with her little game one bit. You like to talk pretty big. You don't really know yourself, do you, Takano-san? I felt a tinge of irritation at Takano-san's roundabout way of speaking, but those emotions escaped my mouth like watering flow through a strainer. Even I was surprised how directly I'd spoken about how I'd felt. Of course, I wasn't the only one taken aback. Oh my, here's something. You might just be a boy, but you can still provoke people. How unexpectedly rugged. I don't dislike people like that, you know? Takano-san's tongue poked out of her mouth, and I was convinced it was a long, thin split in the middle like a snake's. Alright, I'll tell you then. But you have to promise me 3 things first. 1, not to regret it no matter what I tell you. 2, not to tell it to anyone. 3, not to tell anyone what I told you. What? Not to tell anyone I told you. Okay. I gulped firmly and nodded. Umataka-san made an exaggerated expression of distress, gave a dry, vague smile, and lit a cigarette. Please tell me. Please tell me, who is putting this curse on people? Who is it? Who's deciding who gets cursed? After I said that, I finally realized what I wanted to know. He's gonna break all those promises, isn't he? You know, knowing Keiichi, he's definitely going to. Big stretch. Wait, we're not gonna know what she said? Are you serious? They're gonna keep that from us? Wow. 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 Literally trolled. Many of my classmates were playing freely in the schoolyard. A few of them had just run out to the school building after putting on their shoes and tapping their shoes into the ground. It looked like they had just finished eating lunch. From a time manipulating standpoint, I guess I succeeded. Oh, Mayabara-san, are you okay? A few of the girls noticed me and came running over. It was only natural they were worried. I think if someone wasn't there in the morning, they'd be out the rest of the day. Well, I'm just late for school. Don't worry about it. Anyway, what about Satoko? Did she come today? Girls exchanged glances. Saw a thin shadow fall over their faces and knew the answer without needing to hear them reply. Satoko was absent today too. When all said and done, after being out 3 days, she'd only come back for 1. Now she was out again. Who knew she would come back tomorrow? Yeah, the teacher said she got a phone call from Satoko-chan. Said she had a cold. Chie-sensei said everyone would make sure to rinse their mouths out really well. Wait a minute, Chie-sensei? A little too thick-headed, don't you think? You're a teacher, aren't you? Why can't you be more sensitive and catch on to the fact that your pupil is sending out an SOS? But even if she did, there's nothing we could hope for. The most she could do was a home and visitation. She didn't have any right to take Satoko from her uncle in safety. No matter the result, it would just end up like public agencies, with a wait-and-see attitude. It would just piss Satoko's uncle off, and her suffering would only grow deeper. Then wasn't she saying she had a cold the best option? She's right. Careful not to catch a cold, got it? You can go now. There's still plenty of time left in lunch break. Girls excitedly scattered into the schoolyard. Oh, Keiichi-kun! Oh, Keiichi-kun! Rena was yelling out the classroom window, waving her hand. A moment later, Mion and Rika-chan poked their heads out too. We were very worried, even that you would be absent today. Thank goodness. You don't seem sick. You look pretty okay. Felt a little uncomfortable with her saying I didn't look sick, but I didn't care that much. What happened? Overslept? Well, late is late. Think if I said I was late because of a train accident, she'd let it slide? You overslept? Mion was being a bit persistent. She was going to put on her club president cap and scold me for being late. Well, maybe she didn't have it in for me, so I briefly stated that she was right. There's still more bento. Everyone eat up. Without Keiichi-kun here, we wouldn't have any fun. Satoko is still absent, huh? Even Rena, feigning cheerfulness, couldn't stand to hear that, and her face darkened. She called this morning. Apparently, she said her cold came back, and she was staying home again. She said she might go on for a while too. She must be sad, so we were all talking about going to visit. What are you saying, Rika-chan? Not pleased with Rika-chan wearing a wide smile as though it was a happy occasion, I threw cold water on her. Wait, you literally threw cold water on her, or was it like a metaphor? I think it was a metaphor. We know best of all she doesn't have a cold, don't we? Don't ever tell a fib like that again, even as a joke. I'll get mad next time. Rika-chan furrowed her brow, looked down, and mumbled an apology. It's not just you, Keiichi-kun. It's hard for everyone. I know I'm not the only one worrying, but none of us can do anything either, can we? That's true, but... I got the feeling it would cause another fight if this exchange went on, so I apologized first. Sorry, I'm sorry, so forget what I just said. Hard for everyone, right? It must be. It was at least clear, however, that I was the only one who had worried so much about rescuing her. At the very least, everyone else probably got the normal amount of sleep last night. Probably had good dreams, too. They definitely hadn't stayed up all night thinking so desperately. I know it might not be what you want to hear right after you get to school, but you were late today, Kei-chan. Did it have anything to do with Satoko being absent? Huh? Mion, what are you talking about? Sometimes you act kind of foolhardy, Kei-chan. When both you and her were absent this morning, we seriously thought you might have kidnapped her and hidden her somewhere. Ooh, it's not like we were planning on doing that, right? Easy for you to say. If I could have, I'd done that last night. None of them had really thought about how difficult that clear-as-day solution was. I was up thinking all night, thinking until the night was brightening. And then I concluded that I couldn't do anything of the sort. Don't be dumb. I couldn't hide someone. You're right. I'm sorry. I apologize if I upset you. Don't worry about it. Anyway, let's eat some food. I'm starving. Took my bento box out of my bag. Everyone moved to make a spot for me to sit. Mayabara-kun, did you just get here? And I was about to stick my chopsticks in. As I was about to stick my chopsticks in, Chie-sensei came along. Yeah. Sorry for being late. I overslept. What the heck? Even the teacher was giving me that strange look. When you finish eating, could you come and you and the president come to the teacher's lounge? There's something I want to talk about. Probably about Satoko, I thought. Sensei left it at that and went back to the hallway. Eating lunch can wait. Let's go, Mion. You're right. Mion and I exchanged looks, nodding to each other, and got up. It's probably about Satoko-chan. No doubt about it. They were saying she had a cold, but everyone in class knew the truth. I didn't think that, and that would have reached the teacher's ears by now. I kept playing dumb, so I think she gave up asking me. Revealing the truth to a teacher would only worsen the situation. Is that why she hadn't said anything? Or was it because she was Satoko's friend, and knew that she was trying to endure the trial of her uncle's abuse in order to get her brother to come home? What should we do? Maybe we should use this chance to get a collective opinion. What do you want to do, Rika-chan? Meep. Satoko's closest and best friend was Rika-chan. However much I pretended to be her Nini, it didn't come close to the amount of time they'd spent together. So it felt like her opinion would be held in the highest regard. I know why Satoko is enduring her uncle's torture. Everyone looked startled and turned to me. Back then, whenever Satoko was abused, she cried and hid behind her brother. But Satoko thinks that, in the end, that's why her brother ran away. Who did you hear that from? The coach, I bet. I nodded quietly. Satoko believes her brother will come back if she can withstand the abuse. Maybe that's why she's trying to push through. But that assumption has nothing to do with Satoshi coming back. It hurts to say that about Satoko, but it's the truth. Everyone hung their heads. Everyone was thinking the same thing. Satoko probably won't be happy no matter who helps her. She wants to withstand everything with her own strength. But is it really right to expect that? I don't think it is. Even if Satoko hates us for a while, I think there will come a time when we need to save her against her will. And I think that time might be now. I told him about what I saw and how I felt when I went to Satoko's house yesterday. Eiji-kun, so you think we should tell someone? Of course, only after that reporting it to the public agency will guarantee your safety. Without being sure of that, it would just cause more dangerous. It could just get more dangerous for her instead. It's a different problem. You think we can get definite promise out of the teacher? I had no confidence, but we had to try. Meanwhile, Rika-chan had her hand raised for a while, as if asking for an opportunity to speak. I will leave it to Keiji. What? Is that okay, Rika-chan? Keiji is thinking about Satoko more than anyone else here. If Keiji thinks that we need to tell someone, then I have no complaints. Thanks, Mion. Rena, are you okay with that? Mion seemed to hesitate, not knowing if she should agree. But when she saw Rena's firm nod, she made up her mind and did the same. Okay, let's go. Okay, let's go, Mion. Right. Oh god. Now we gotta lie to the teacher about it. Only Chi, since he was in the teacher's lounge. We didn't see the principal anywhere. The schedule on the blackboard under the principal's name said, training, going straight home. The principal's sense of justice was too strong. Satoko's problems wouldn't be solved with something so vague. Maybe it was a stroke of good luck that he wasn't here. When the teacher saw Mion and I come in, she closed up her curry bento, saving the rest for later. Sit over there, please. She told us to take a seat in the chairs directly in front of the principal's seat. I had sat in this chair since doing the paperwork for transferring in. Two of us sat there uncomfortably, before the teacher walked over carrying a notebook and a ballpoint pen and sat in front of us. Why, Barkun, you're absent this morning. Did something happen? I'm sorry, I overslept. Really? I have no reason to lie. She narrowed her eyes at me in suspicion. Now I was sure of it. She wanted to talk about Satoko. In any case, I think you already know, but your friend Hojo-san has been away frequently lately. Neither Mio nor I had anything to say in response, but the teacher proceeded, not minding. Would you happen to know anything? There are some people in class spreading bad rumors. Mion looked down and remained silent, as though she was being lectured. sent me a quick glance. Everyone had made up their minds. They'd be leaving things to me. Mion-kun? Or you, Maibara-kun? I won't get mad or anything, okay? If you know something, I just want you to tell me. Sensei, can we ask you a question first? She might not have anticipated that response. She looked surprised. I don't know what rumors are going around about Satoko in class, but if those rumors happen to be true, what would you do, Sensei? Well, what would I do? If it's true that she's being abused by her uncle, then I can't leave it alone. Can't leave what alone exactly? What would you do? Sensei's eyebrows shot up. Maybe I said it like I was trying to pick a fight. Hi, Bar-kun. I'm being serious here. So am I. I'm also being completely serious right now. Please answer me. If it were true, what wouldn't you leave alone? Sensei took a few breaths and then began to speak slowly. First, I'd have to visit Hojo's house to confirm the situation. Uncle might get mad and drive you away, though. Well, okay. Let's say you did meet up with Satoko and her uncle. Then what? Then I'd ask her if it was true. Once I got the facts, I'd go from there. Please stop talking so vaguely. What exactly would you do? Even despite my tone being so provocative, Chie-sensei bit back her emotions and listened calmly. Thought that she was a good teacher. Chie-sensei really did have her students' best interests at heart. But she didn't have the power of the authority to save Satoko. She let her sense of justice run away with her. The situation could get more complex. Sensei folded her arms, and for a few moments she closed her eyes as though mentally concentrating. When they opened again, there was strictness in her eyes I'd never seen before. There's a law called the Child Welfare Law. It clearly states that abuse against children will not be allowed, no matter who it is. So it would seem. Then what? I'd contact the prefecture's child consultation center. You said just now I would be turned away, didn't you? Child welfare officers can bring police with them if the situation demands. They will not submit to intimidation. How many days would it take after you contact the social worker and submit the paperwork for her to be saved? It would be the same day. Their job is to guarantee immediate safety of children. I know that. That's if they decide there's an urgent need. If they didn't, they would do the same as you. They go from there. They just wait and see, right? They just watch. It would make Satoko's uncle mood sour, and Satoko would be stuck with him there. Hey, John, that's going a little too far. I'm not lying, am I? Last year or the year before, whatever. That's exactly what happened when the child welfare people came, isn't it? And what happened to them? You and Sensei would know a lot better than I would. I'd said too much. I didn't need Moon to tell me that. I was talking crazy and itching for a fight. I was supposed to be telling her about the situation only after I was sure we could save Satoko, but I basically told her everything from the start. Jay-sensei looked at the clock, stood up, and picked up a phone at the principal's seat. Hello? Put me through to extension 3455, please. Oh god, here we go. Oh god. Did you just do that, Keiichi? Is this okay, Kei-chan? Is this really okay? It was too late. The dice had been cast. Now we could only pray. Oh, thank you for answering my call. I'm Chie, a licensed teacher at the Hinamizawa branch school. But Director Watanabe happened to be in the guidance office? Yes, that's right. Something urgent came up, and I'd like to contact the principal as soon as I can. Yes, thank you. Please tell him immediately. Yes, thank you. Teacher put down the phone and tilted her head back and took a breath like I always did. I'll ask the two of you again. Are the rumors going around class really true? Yes. Yesterday I went to Satoko's house and saw for myself just how bad it really is. You can leave the rest to me. I'll definitely do something for Satoko-chan. Something? Please stop saying such ambiguous things. Not something. We have to save her. If they ended up deciding wait and see again, how would you plan on taking responsibility? I was yelling, the phone rang. Jay-sensei snatched the receiver up first. Hello? Oh, I apologize for interrupting your training. Yes. Actually, it's about the issue with Satoko Hojo-san. Yes. Sensei waved us away, telling us we could leave now. Mion went to leave, but I held my ground. I had a responsibility to make sure she stopped saying such vague, ambiguous things. If it didn't look like she was going to say anything substantial, then I told them the truth, even if I had to steal the phone away from her. Yes. No, I haven't contacted them yet. Yes. I haven't confirmed it, but it seems pretty bad from what the children are saying. It's not just pretty bad. Do something about it. Right now. If you're going to report it, then I don't care who you tell. But I swear if they end up just waiting and watching, I'll never forgive you. I yelled angrily at Sensei and the principal on the other end. I wanted to somehow, someway, convey to them just how dangerous her situation was right now. I understand that. I will tell them as much. Mion-kun, please take my Bar-kun back to the classroom. Yes, ma'am. Let's go, Kei-chan. We should leave this to the teachers now. You better promise. At the very last moment, I glared at Sensei. Dear Sensei was being pressured by the likes of me. Idiot, this isn't the time to feel pressured. Now's the time when you give a firm nod that'll set my mind at ease. Even so, we've already left things in her hands. At this point, we really can't do anything but pray. Bang! Mion shut the door to the teacher's lounge. Yeah, this'll go well, I'm sure. Definitely. Receive new tips. Article. Statistics from the Ministry of Health and Welfare. Just article? No detailing? When has everything ever gone badly in this VN? I know, right? When has anything ever gone badly? Never. That's the thing. Never, never. Article. Just article. Who knows what article? Article 2, definition of child abuse. The term child abuse means the following acts committed by a custodian, meaning a person who exercises parental authority, a guardian of a minor, or a person who is currently engaged in the custody of a child. Hereinafter, the same shall apply. Against the child, meaning a person who is under 18 years of age. Hereinafter, the same shall apply. Assault of a child in a manner that will cause or is likely to cause external injury on the body of a child. Engage in indecency against a child or cause the child to engage in indecency, substantially reduce the amount of food for the child, or abandon and neglect the child for a long period of time in manner that interfere with normal development of the child mentally or physically, or otherwise materially fail to perform the duty of a custodian, or speak or behave in the manner that would be significantly traumatic to the child. Hydrate, 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 and head pat. Alright, alright. We're talking about horrible, horrible things here. Thank you for hydration, though. I actually have water today. Article 3, prohibition of child abuse. No person shall abuse a child. Law number, Act number 82 of 2000. Authorized by Ministry of Health and Welfare. Oh, I'm glad we got that definition of child abuse, huh? Isn't that fun? Statistics from Ministry of Health and Welfare. You joined during the funniest part. Oh yeah, this is a laughing stock, isn't it? Statistics from Ministry of Health and Welfare. Year 19XX. Principal abusers in cases reported to Ministry of Health and Welfare. Total 5,352. Mother by blood, 2,943, 55%. Mother not by blood, 203, 3.8%. Father by blood, 1,445, 27%. Father not by blood, 488, 9.1%. Year 19XX. Instances by type of abuse in cases reported to the Ministry of Health and Welfare. Total 5,352. Physical abuse 2,780, 51.9%. Neglect, abandonment of child 1,728, 32.3%. Psychological abuse 458, 8.6%. Forbidden from going to school 75, 1.4%. Sexual violence 311, 5.8%. Jesus Christ, that's so ominous. That is so ominous. You're 19? Wow, this is old. Shut up. Man, that is so ominous. I hope those numbers aren't real. I mean, there's a chance that they could be real, but I'd rather not like to think of like that. Hopefully we can save Satoko, right? Right, everyone? Hopefully Keiichi will do something very important. Very brutal, possibly. Who knows? No, I'd believe those statistics even if it wasn't Japan, you know? But I'll be honest, I assumed that the sexual abuse would be a little higher, but still, that's rough. That's rough. But thank you guys for listening and watching and reading along with me. So I'll leave it here. Have a good day. Have a good night wherever you are. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a good, safe day. Be careful. Do not abuse children. Thank you, thank you. Goodbye. Goodbye.